Hey kids, this is Aaron from the podcast That Wouldn't Die, and Kevin and I use Zencastr. You think you're better than us, that you're using something else? You're wrong. Zencastr's the place to be. Who are you to deny it?
It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code DIEHARD and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time for you to share your story.
Only a fool will give up a chance for a 30% discount.
370 feet beneath this point is a hidden chamber
that might contain a critical missing piece of our history.
How are we supposed to get down there?
catacombs.
There are 200 miles of tunnels right underneath our feet.
They're holding the remains of 6 million corpses.
Stop. This is the Empire of the Dead.
These are human bones.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast That Wouldn't Die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hello!
This week, we're discussing the horror classic, As Above, So Below. I have the hardest time saying this title correctly, by the way.
I think it sounds so poetic. I think it just sounds lovely. Only lovers left alive, as above, so below. I think they're all great titles.
Fair. It stars a few actors that are vaguely recognizable, but not really. How about that?
How about this? I wrote down, that dude's French accent is so fake. It's so crappy. And then I read he's French.
He's French, right. Ben Feldman. It was the guy, the boyfriend-ish character, and he was in Mad Men for a few seasons.
Yes.
He was also in, the new Friday the 13th, the remake.
And right now,
yes,
he is in Mayfair Witches.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
I recognized him.
I recognized him in Mayfair Witches going, who's that dude? Do I hate him? Was he on Gilmore Girls? Why are his eyes so big? And then I did some Googling. Yeah.
That's neither here nor there.
I always forget he was in Mad Men. And I'm angry that I cannot rewatch Mad Men. I keep wanting to say Med Men,
right,
because our sister worked at a cannabis company called Med Men.
Correct.
But what I want to say is Mad Men. I would like to rewatch the series, but I would have to pay, and I'm not going to do that.
No can do. Each week on the podcast That Wouldn't Die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genres with a comedic twist. Aaron, what's the latest?
Oh, dude. Been learning about AI all afternoon, and I came home and made like a Weight Watcher friendly cottage pie. I had to go to the Walmart neighborhood grocery, which is a treat. And by the time I left with my 4 items, suddenly there was 9,000 people there. I was like, son of a bitch.
Can I say I had never heard the term cottage pie until this last weekend when I was at our brother's St. Patrick's Day soiree. Would you tell people? I'd heard of a shepherd's pie. He's like, not a shepherd's pie.
Not a shepherd's pie.
Why?
Shepherd's pie is made with lamb.
Yes. And a cottage pie?
I use ground beef. This recipe also called for pork, and that didn't sound right. Because I was just in a hurry, so I just wanted to get... It's like ground beef and onions and peas and carrots and with a little Worcestershire and a little tomato paste. And you make a little gravy, and then you put it in a pan and put mashed potatoes on top and bake it till it's crispy. It is a treat. And the reason I made it is because my son made a giant pot of the worst mashed potatoes. They were disgusting. He made instant potatoes with water and some pepper. They were utterly god awful, but I zhuzhed them up and threw it on my cottage pie. Say la vie.
It sounds dynamite. Not your horrific mashed potatoes, but under normal circumstances, it's literally ground beef, mashed potatoes, baked on it. I'm in. Say
You're
no
in.
more.
First of all, as the spokesperson for all Irish people, why don't you have the praties, line me up?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's an ode to the end of fall, because it, rained for like 3 weeks. So now it'll never rain again here in Bakersfield until next February. And next week will be 90 degrees. I've been walking around in the jacket I took to Iceland with me. But next week, it'll be 90 degrees. And even though I'm freezing to death in my classroom, they just announced they're switching to AC next week too. Yay!
So it's the end of fall? Is that what you said?
The end of winter. The beginning of spring. Spring is sprung tomorrow.
Spring is sprung. Fair. Good times had, Val.
Who can say?
Who can say? Why don't you give us your 30-second synopsis of As Above, So Below?
All right. You got Ms. Indiana Jones with the dead father is looking for the Philosopher's Stone. I don't know. Right. I thought Harry Potter had it. Call me crazy.
Correct.
But so 1 minute she's like in Iraq before the Taliban is blowing up ancient sites.
No Next Taliban minute, in Iraq, by the way.
Where the she was, I don't know. But she was there before the Taliban blew it up. Where was that? Afghanistan?
I don't think it was the Taliban, but fair enough.
It was the Taliban. Remember, because they were blowing up all those ancient religious artifacts.
Okay.
Do you not remember the 90s?
It was Iraq, but it wasn't the Taliban. It was some other nefarious character.
Just some random. They didn't want to say the Taliban because they might get sued or something.
Because the Taliban are Afghanistan, not in Iraq. That's why they didn't want to say.
They travel. They got cars.
That's quite a drive. But that's not a hero.
Well, quite frankly, it was like an Egyptian artifact that she uncovered either way. So now we're off in Paris, where she thinks she's got the treasure map that's going to show her exactly where the Philosopher's Stone is, which apparently imparts everything. Besides, you'll be the queen of alchemy. It doesn't bring the dead back, but she'll be the most powerful person in the world, and somehow that's really important. So she hires a bunch of crackheads from a club who know a secret way in, and guess what? It's all bad. It all gets bad. One by one, all their horrors of their lives are appearing in the cave, and then she gets real smart a little too late. And I'm telling you, I like it when there's not just either everyone's dead or one person's dead. You got a scattering people that made it through. Although I don't know how the other French dude's going to explain where everybody went. Because clearly he's not taking search and rescue back in there.
This movie, man. I had heard of this movie, but I was convinced, like, based upon my, incorrect assumptions. I thought they all died at the end. I thought it was going to be like a Descent kind of situation. Have you seen The Descent, Aaron?
I have not seen The Descent.
Okay. If you think this movie's claustrophobic, The Descent is real claustrophobia. As a
small child, I was afraid that I was going to fall somehow into an ice crevasse and I was going to get stuck and no one was going to save me. So, living in the desert, don't know where that came from. But it
Not
did
too many
rear
ice
its head
crevasses.
when I was standing on a glacier in Iceland and I could see like water underneath the ice. I was like, oh, here we go.
Here it is. It was a premonition.
And I paid for this. Here we go. Now your Roomba's crying.
Let's talk about Roombas for just a second.
Yes.
Roombas sound amazing. The idea is at a certain time of day, the little robot roams around your house, cleaning up all your crap. and then goes back to its little perch to recharge itself. Wrong. That second step never happens. So it wedges itself somewhere, and then hours later,
crying.
First it cries. Maybe you hear it, maybe you don't. And if you don't hear it, then it's like this twisted Easter egg hunt where you're digging through the house, much like the search for Nicholas Flamel's Philosopher's Stone. You're looking through, pulling up old dusty things, trying to find, where is a Roomba? Where is Roomba? It's a nightmare.
My Roomba has never returned.
No.
It's an older one, so it doesn't go off unless I tell it, make it go off. But it is never. I believe at one point that was supposed to be the dream, but it has never. I can lock it in the same room with this little charger, and it avoids it.
It doesn't want to charge itself.
It doesn't.
Goodbye, cruel
Just
world.
let me die. Let me die.
Pretty much. We had never seen this movie before. Is that correct?
No.
This is the first time watch for me as well. I don't remember seeing ads for this either. This is just one of those movies that kind of popped up on a list somewhere of movies that exist. So this was, I thought about doing it in the past, but what I was going to say about The Descent, and maybe we'll do it at some point, but that was the movie that let me know, oh yes, you are claustrophobic. Because it's spelunking where you're slithering down into those caves where you're just
that's not even claustrophobia. That's just good sense.
That's just good sense. 100%. And literally, it's like when the monsters come out in The Descent, it's like, who gives a damn? I don't care about the monsters in the cave. I care about getting lodged in some little thing with my arm stuck like this.
And just slowly starving to death or your lungs collapse. Yeah.
It's a horror show. That's neither here nor there. Sweet Jesus. So why don't we jump right into the highlights, Aaron?
Well, let me just tell you the reason I chose this. Because I had just been talking to someone. Because you and I had both been to the Paris catacombs at some point. Right?
Correct.
I went like in 89.
97.
97. I'm sure it hadn't changed that much.
No.
Basically, Paris ran out of space and dug up their graveyards. And really, I mean, this was like the 1700s, 1800s. The people they dug up, there was no meat left. Right. In fact, in the catacombs, really what you see are the big bones. You see femurs and skulls. And the crazy monks did all kinds of weird decorations with it. I mean, the same thing happened in San Francisco. Is they ran out of space, so they dug up everybody and moved them to the city of Colma, which now actually has people living there. It used to be Colma used to just be a city of the dead.
I see. Not any longer, though.
Not any longer.
They only moved the headstones, Aaron. Just the headstones.
Right. Ah! Wow. But all the stuff they pointed out is real. The catacombs in Paris have all these little fucked up sayings as you move from room to room to room.
Right.
And I had just enough French, so I knew when the horn blows at midnight, the dead will arise. So me and my knucklehead college friends were like, what? Plus, it was like dripping water, so we envisioned how many layers of corpses has this water drifted through before it splattered on my head. We're like,
100%.
It's the dead's tea. Don't let it fall in your mouth. So we were freaking out because the catacombs take a while. You're going down deep before you start seeing the bodies. I mean, it gets really cold. It's really dark. It's really damp.
And again, these are underneath the city of Paris. This isn't out in the boonies. This is the city of millions. This bizarre
must-see when visiting the fine city, I would say.
Absolutely. But it's wild because it's like there's clearly no attempt was made to I'll put some tombstones or markers. It's literally just cordwood stacked. Boom. Here's femurs, skulls. But
they'll put the skulls in like a heart shape. They got in there and the old monks decorated them. And basically all you got is this zone. This part of this cemetery is here, and it's just like an alcove that goes way back, and it's just femurs. It's
Right.
not like it's funky or anything.
No.
These people have been dead for hundreds of years, so there's no weird smells or anything. I didn't get any bad vibes.
No, I didn't either.
No.
I wasn't claustrophobic in it at all.
Well, you were not climbing over into cracks either. They were wide open rooms.
Correct.
Although I do wish there were some people like dressed as witches chanting with their little red candles around the corner. That would have been awesome.
Well, there's that scene where they're like naked with body paint, like chanting. There's just some weird people doing weird shit. Moving on.
Never mind them.
Let's talk about the film here, because like you said, the main character, whose name I never take the time to remember the character's name because it doesn't even matter.
Doesn't matter.
Her father's like life's pursuit was tracking down Nicholas Flamel's Philosopher's Stone, which was supposed to be used for alchemy, changing lead into
base
gold.
metal into gold, yeah.
And it also
and all these other things. But that's really when you're talking about alchemy.
Right.
People wanted to figure out how to get rich.
100%. And it was also supposed to kind of bestow eternal life, was also part of it. So she is kind of driven to kind of track this down, because she's an archaeologist, right? She's not like a treasure hunter per se. She's learned and educated. And like you said, she's in Iraq, which is Mesopotamia, essentially. And for some reason, you talked about this, the government is going to blow up these tunnels underneath Baghdad, wherever it was. I don't remember.
That's like I said, I thought it was the Taliban because that's what they were doing. I wasn't sure what country they were in, but don't you remember before the Gulf War that they were just blowing up all these ancient shrines and statues?
Saddam Hussein doing crazy shit. So, but
Saddam Hussein wasn't doing it. It was the Taliban.
Taliban are not in Iraq.
I didn't say I know where they were. I'm just telling you that the
this
Taliban
story takes
were
place in
shit
Iraq.
up.
God damn it. This part takes place in Iraq. Okay, I'm going to look it up. God damn it.
Look it up. What? You're going to see Taliban blowing up shit? And what does DeepSeek say?
Iraq. Oh, I don't want to look that up. Let's look up
hell?
as above. I was just looking up Iraq for some reason. As above, so below. Maybe I'm wrong. It's possible.
Yeah, of course you're wrong.
Let's see. Oh, okay, here we go. I was wrong. Scarlett discovers the Rose Key artifact in an Iranian cave slated for demolition. So it's Iran, not Iraq, and not Afghanistan. So we're both equally wrong.
And also not Egypt, because it was that fucking dog god that was over there.
Oh, it was like a bull.
Whatever.
Who the hell? This is neither here nor there. So
Either way, it did not look Persian.
She finds some ancient cuneiform or whatever, and she copies down as the shit's blowing up, to establish that she is a fanatic.
Well, did she? Was this a surprise demolition?
No.
That you could only go 1 minute before the shit blows up, or are you just busy? You were waiting for a super saver on the air flight?
Unclear why this had to happen now. Unclear. But she found it just in time, and now she's back in Paris, where here is the marker for Nicholas Flamel, who, if you've seen the Harry Potter movies, they specifically mention Nicholas Flamel as being the Philosopher's Stone. I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, so she goes to Paris, and there's some writing that she can't translate, and the only one who can translate it is like an ex-boyfriend who breaks into.
He doesn't speak ancient Aramaic, and my old boyfriend, which I thought that was like a cool kind of rock and roll thing. He breaks into ancient sites and fixes their clocks and stuff, like he's Quasimodo. Or
it's bizarre.
I thought that was kind of rock and roll, but then it's just like the dude from Mayfair Witches, and I was like, oh no, he needed to look a little bit more Italian with flowing hair. Little less like short Jewish guy. That's not what I was anticipating.
Nothing wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. It was just not my expectations.
But it is funny where it's like he goes in there and fixes the clock tower of Notre Dame, where people are like, "What the?" He's like, it hasn't rung in 400 years. Oh, really? You just fixed it?
I'm pretty sure that was not Notre Dame. Maybe he's the one who set the fire. I don't know.
He didn't start the fire.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet Jesus. So they figure out that they have to go beneath the streets of Paris to find where they think the final resting place is. So they go down to the catacombs and they realize, oh, the catacombs don't go where we need to go.
Right.
But there's a creepy dude sitting in like the shadows go, hey, go to some rave. Go to some rave, do a little E, and look for Papillon. Papillon.
The butterfly.
The butterfly. He will let you know where to go. So they're like, cool. Sounds good.
I mean, Papillon is a rock and roll name. I mean, it's much better than the German Schmetterling. But it's not like a cool guy name. Let's just say that.
Not typically. But maybe in Paris, that is like the roughest name ever, right?
Dude, yeah.
Is that possible?
Look out, it's Papillon.
Papillon. So they go to the rave, they meet the dude and like a couple of his loser buddies, and they're like, yeah, we'll show you how to get down there because we hang out in the sewers. We're like the Chud. Is that how it is?
We are the Chud. We're the Chud on E. That's us.
Yes, 100%. But I mean, so they go down under there. And this is where they start. In one hand, I'm getting intrigued. But on the other hand, I'm getting kind of like, well, this makes no goddamn sense. Because they talk about how people are going through those tunnels all the time. No problemo. There's one tunnel you don't want to go through. Right. Don't go through that tunnel because my buddy, whoever the hell, went in there 2 years ago and disappeared. We never seen him again. So there's bad vibes. We don't go through that tunnel.
So somebody filled it up.
It's filled up.
Let me back you up a little bit.
Back it up.
So we have Mayfair Witches, dude.
Yes.
Who is claustrophobic, but magically gets over that real freaking fast. The police come and try to snatch them as they're going into the tunnels.
Yes.
And I would have been like, officer, come and take me. Come and take us. I'm not going in that fucking hole. Second of all, the police just give up. That was it. They're like, we're going to smoke
That's what they do.
A French cigarette, a Giton or Gauloise, and we've done our duty.
Do you know what's interesting?
We didn't go after them.
We didn't even talk about this. This is yet another, like, first-person camera visor, because it's filming a documentary.
I wrote that down. Cannibal Holocaust.
Yes.
Under the land. Yeah, it's Cannibal Holocaust, but in the catacombs. My first thought was these French people are gonna just F them, but that's not.
Well, it seemed like they don't know these three. They're totally random people that a spirit in the catacombs told them to. Because do you know who that person was who told them to find Papillon? It's revealed later in the movie.
Right. That was the dude who's stuck in there.
No.
What?
It was the dude. Oh God! In one of the stupidest moments. Later in the movie, they start having visions of their sins or whatever the hell.
Right.
The one Papillon has because he has a burn on his arm that he doesn't talk about. They turn around a corner and there's like a Peugeot or something on fire, and there's the dude who led them to. He was the guy burning in the fire.
Right.
Was the guy who told them to go see Papillon. So there you go. Yeah. It's a blink if you miss it kind of moment.
They're all haunted by things that, while they're not exactly guilty of, they were somehow involved with it.
Right. Well, it was just kind of what was weighing on your soul in a
Yeah.
way. It's like what are the kind of regrets or the sadness or whatever you're carrying with you is kind of the reveal.
The clock fixer was unable to save his brother from drowning in a cave.
Right. He got lost and couldn't save his brother who was drowning in a cave.
Right.
Which is why he's claustrophobic, kind of.
Which is exactly. They all have these kind of issues. Our main Indiana Jones,
right?
Her big thing was her father committed suicide and she didn't take his call.
Right.
So it's all these guilty things that they haven't dealt with are now haunting them in the cave.
Correct. Now we didn't even talk about this. Because there's a scene when she's in Iran, when she's running from the explosion, she turns a corner and there's a dude hanging there.
Yeah.
Which there's no explanation. Why would she already be suffering from visions or spectrals or whatever the case may be when she's nowhere near what's revealed to be the gates of hell, essentially?
Maybe because she broke that seal and it kind of unleashed this all. I mean, obviously she was already guilty, but I mean, they were seeing things.
Right.
They were already seeing things before they entered the cave.
Yes.
There was that girl outside the club.
Who's that's never explained.
Never explained.
Buddy, the documentarian who's videotaping their adventure, he on multiple occasions, here's this creepy white chick, blonde hair, kind of looking at him a couple times, no explanation. And he, again, never an explanation because he dies before he can, although you see her kind of run at him.
Well, and then we see the one girl get her head bashed in by their mysterious friend they ran into who they thought was dead and lost. Well, guess what? He was dead and lost. So what is her issue with him that he like cracks her head like an egg?
Well, if you look at Wikipedia and if you look at IMDb like I do, it's revealed over the course of this movie that this is literally the Divine Comedy. That they are going from layer of layer of layer.
Oh, shit.
Yes, that's what it is. So there's an explanation as to why each room looks a little different and what happens there. There's some kind of goofy explanation. But honestly, I don't like that. I didn't find that nearly as interesting. Just having them go because honestly, you don't see much.
I mean, do you like it less because you looked it up versus your ignorance?
Okay. Let's jump.
Did you look it up before or after?
I looked it up after. I thought it was decent.
Yeah.
Before, not spectacular. I don't want to give away my rating. I thought it was decent, but I found it I felt it should have been scarier. And the fact that this kind of Dante's Divine Comedy or whatever is it who wrote the Divine Comedy? Is it Milton or is it? I don't remember. Dante's Inferno.
Dante.
Is it Dante?
Come on.
Right. Milton's Paradise Lost. My bad. It's Dante. Dante's Divine Comedy. It kind of makes it less interesting to me. Spoiler alert.
Now I'm going to go back and look it up because Lord knows I have not read the Divine Comedy, but I have some vague idea. I went to an exhibition. Dali illustrated the Divine Comedy, so I went to an exhibition of just the illustrations. So it would be interesting. I'm going to go back because I can't remember. There was a hell for adulterers. There was a hell for money lenders. There were all these different levels of hell.
Well, and the friend who disappeared for 2 years was in limbo.
Okay.
Basically. And
he was angry about that.
And he wasn't thrilled about it. When they literally climb in and they see an ancient script or whatever that he translates, it's abandon all hope. Ye who enter here. That's from the Divine Comedy. So that was.
It is in the catacombs also.
It is. Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Well, there you go. But what I was saying half an hour ago, when they find the area which has been kind of bricked over, and they say we shouldn't go in there. They say, cool, we won't do that. And they go to the area that he suggested, Papillon, the way that he's gone 1,000 times, where the dude gets kind of stuck in there for a little bit with the bones.
Oh, yeah. The guy gets stuck in there. I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I thought. My chest was getting tight. I was like, no. As soon as
you can move the bones out of the way, you're fine. You're fine.
The minute that I thought that I was stuck, that's when the panic would set in. I'd be freaking, I'd be crying. Right. I'd be cursing. I'd be full wing ding.
Absolutely. That is a primordial fear. In there. Absolutely.
I'm feeling anxious just talking about this.
So they climb through that thing and they get on the other side, but it's like they're back where they started. Like there's some kind of force now making them take the path.
Right.
The bad path, which again, they said, Papillon was like, I've been here 1,000 times. You can see there's Pap right there, but some kind of force is making them go in the bad way. But my question is why? If people walk through here all the time, and as long as you don't go down the haunted tunnel, you're fine. Why are they now forced to go down the haunted tunnel?
It has to be her. It has to be her because she's already seen visions. She's the one. She's the chosen one. She's the one who started the quest. She's the one who has all the information. And she's the one, spoiler alert, who makes it out at the end.
Right.
And then what?
She figures it out. Eventually.
She could have figured that out a little bit earlier.
Well, there were definitely times where it seemed like, you need to share some of this information with these other people around you.
Well, how about this? She promised them all treasure. What if she gets down there and the Philosopher's Stone is a diamond and there ain't no other treasure? How's she going to explain that? She just lied to them all and half of them died.
Correct. They did.
Yeah.
And what's funny is when they find the treasure chamber and there's the Philosopher's Stone up there and she sees the treasure kind of chained, like locked behind a gate with like, I don't know, gold or whatever.
It was so Indiana Jones. I was like,
But it was like, she's sitting there going, that treasure is trapped. I don't think they should go and get that treasure. It's like, eventually you might want to raise your voice and say, guys, it's a trap. But she didn't until like the roof is caving in on them.
Yeah.
And miraculously they were fine, except for, again, the haunted specter who showed up and then disappeared and then reappeared later. Who knows?
How about, hey, bro, you've been gone for 2 years. We've been looking for you. What's up? And he's just like hunched over in the corner like the last scene of Blair Witch.
It was.
You're like, okay, I don't think you're okay.
Well, I think they were kind of stuck at this point. At this point, they had to follow him. And he says, the only way out is through. To get out, you have to go down.
Right.
And at that point, you're kind of pot committed. They were trapped in there. So here's some dude leading them somewhere. What else are they going to do? There's nowhere else to go. So
how far down would you keep going? Because it ends up just being a circle and a circle and a circle.
Right.
At one point, do you just go, I'm not doing this anymore? Because by the end, suddenly she has go back. There's got to be another way.
There is no other way. They had to keep going because it was like basically it collapsed or whatever. There's nowhere else to go.
But by the end, she was like some magical powers. They don't even need ladders or ropes. They can just jump. At the end, they jump through the fucking hole, 1,000 feet down.
We have to talk about a couple of these scenes. There is a scene towards the end when they're in a room and there's some dude sitting on like a throne wearing like a black robe who just, to me, just looked like some dude at the party supply store. You know what I mean? Bought a $5 robe.
It's the last Indiana Jones. It's the Grail. It's like the old Knights of the Grail. You see them twice in this.
Now, were you scared when they're leaning against the wall with the faces on it, and then like a zombie-ish, Fulci kind of move, pop out of the wall, and they bit that dude?
They bit that dude. I like that. But what I liked even better at the end, she just didn't give a shit, and she'd like just punch him in the face. She's
multiple
like
times.
5'4" at the end. She's just punching him in the face and going on about her business. She's like, I've had enough of this shit. Let's go.
Homie, her boyfriend, her erstwhile boyfriend, who's like, whatever happens, that time in Budapest was the finest time of my life. And she is literally, you see her running back because she realizes I have to put the stone back in the spot, and then now I have the powers. It was in you all along, Dorothy Gale.
Yeah.
And she's running.
There's no place like home.
There's no place like home. When the zombie dudes are there, you see her running and she does it like 4 times where they come up and she goes, pow! And they go just flopping on the ground. I'm like, who are these dudes? They suck.
It's almost like the lucid dreaming you have to do with Freddy Krueger. You're like, you're in charge of this dream.
Correct.
It's my dream. We're all in it. I'm taking charge.
Right.
Boom.
Well, it was funny because at that point there's only 3 people left.
Yeah.
It was her boyfriend who has a massive neck wound, like a bleed from a zombie bite.
Yeah.
And then the French dude whose name, what was his name? Zed? Was that his name?
It wasn't Papillon.
He was the 3rd French person who was barely a character.
Barely a character. Exactly. He was just like the background guy. They're like, let's keep him. He really doesn't speak. We don't have to pay him that much.
Well, I was thinking, how would you feel if you're that French dude? Where the girl who's like, I'll be right back. You stay with this dead body. I'd be like, I think we should stay together or something. I'm not sitting here with the zombies running around.
Dude, I'm not staying with the Fulci monster. He's going to be like, no.
For reals.
No. Come taking a nibble on my neck. No.
Nibblety bibble. No thanks. And then they come to a hole and they're like, hey, man, we just got to jump down this hole. But first we have to admit our shit. So what is it?
Yeah.
It's the dude is like, yeah, like you said, my younger brother died of drowning when we were in a cave and I went back for help, but I got lost, so he drowned.
Right.
Her story is her dad was committing suicide and called her and she didn't take the call, which is also why she's so obsessed and following.
So she goes up to her ghost dad who's hanging by his neck and gives him a hug and said, if I had known how sad or whatever, I would have come and been with you.
Yeah. So and then it cuts to French homie's like, I don't know. I'm a deadbeat dad. I'm going to try better in the future. Okay, cool. Moving on.
He's like, I don't know how I got wrapped up in all this nonsense with you guys.
Look, I missed a couple payments
it's like some kind of confession when you're in 6th grade. I took the Lord's name in vain. Forgive me, Fada.
Fada. So they jump down in the hole and they're fine. And they find the manhole, but it's all upside down because as above, so below. They move it and they kind of do this thing.
Dude, that was slick, though. That was slick.
It was kind of good. They had to, because they're kind of like upside down in the world. So the manhole cover's on the floor and they climb through it. And it's like now the world is right side up. So it was like this thing where it's and everything's fine. Moving on.
They sealed up the manhole and they ran to Charles de Gaulle Airport to get the out of there before the police got involved.
You better believe it. So, any other notes or thoughts or feelings there? What you got?
Let me see here. I already complained that I thought the dude had the worst French accent, that I looked him up and he was French.
Right.
No.
That's it? As above, so below?
The image of his little brother through the cracks of the floor and the water. There was some good.
Weak. That was weak.
I have to say, I liked it, but there were weak moments.
Yes.
But overall, I have to say, it was pretty gripping.
Let me say this. If the movie was French catacombs, oh shit, we're trapped, and there are zombies running around, that's a better movie. Except
I
in the one
liked
moment,
it was not what I thought.
there's one moment with like the sand zombies who appear terrifying, but are promptly getting their ass beat multiple times.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's all I'm saying. Pearls. Shall we go behind the scenes?
All right, lay it on me.
Oh, as above, so below. This was the first ever production that secured permission from the French government to film in the catacombs. So there you go. The film
I'm like,
utilizes...
what kind of a budget they have? They actually got to film in France and not like Croatia or something.
Right.
Maybe they got to film for like a week and a half and everything else is on set.
The film utilizes a set of narrow, winding tunnels of the Paris catacombs, complete with real mint skeletons creepily arranged centuries ago.
Yeah.
Boom. Ben Feldman, who plays George, the boyfriend, actually suffers from minor claustrophobia, and he had to keep taking breaks to cope with it in real life. Boom. The nightclub Scarlett is in when she's looking for Papillon is a real nightclub in Paris, and DJ Axiom was actually performing a set during the filming of the scene. Are you familiar with DJ Axiom?
I am not, but I was thinking, this looks like a place I'd like to go hang out. It looks like a cool club. Who is DJ Axiom?
You know him, don't you? No, I don't even know who they are. Is that what you said about the Super Bowl halftime show?
That was the elderly relatives. Who are these people? How come there's no white people?
They did not say that. They did not say that.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Well,
not our parents.
We need to have a conversation with Mom's choice of friends, evidently.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you're hanging out with retired sheriffs and such.
That is true. Susie, the Banshee, is named after Susie Sue of Susie and the Banshees. That's the French chick who gets her head bashed in. Let's see. The tunnel collapse directly mimics the tunnel collapsed in The Descent. Hey, there you go. Let's see. The film's poster tagline, "The only way out is down," is a quote in the film said by La Taupe, who's the dude that they find wandering around down there. And it was also used for the 2003 science fiction movie
The guy's
Core.
name?
La Taupe, which means the mole.
I was just Googling that.
The mole.
Because he's burrowing.
Let's see. When the group enters the first tunnel, they encounter La Taupe, who is believed to be dead for 2 years. He is, in fact, dead and stuck in limbo. This is proven by his inhuman speed to move through corridors. What does that prove? Is that standard? Is that how it is in limbo?
Are you angry in limbo? I thought unbaptized babies were the ones who went to limbo.
That's true. Let's see. The first, in Dante's Inferno, the first circle of hell is limbo. Limbo is where the souls go. Where the souls go, where they've done no evil, but haven't been good enough to get into heaven. That's what they say. So
it's not enough that you weren't evil.
Right. Not good enough.
That's where all our prayers to go to push them over the edge. Isn't that how that works?
So, the complete journey of hell through the secret tunnels of the catacombs of Paris are as follows. The vestibule. The group encounters a gathering of 2 sets of divided cultist female souls.
Yes.
A faux tunnel and the 9 circles. One is limbo. We talked about this.
Okay.
And like they described it, where they find the directionless soul of La Taupe.
All right.
The second level's lust, almost completely colorless tunnels, the loud vortex of souls, hissing of Minos and Italian inscriptions. Then there's gluttony, which is the widened 3rd floor tunnel section containing the growl of an unseen Cerberus.
All right.
Greed, the enclosure containing the Mark of David, engraving of Plutus, trapped treasure, and the false philosopher's stone for single use.
All right.
Wrath, which is the damaged reverse enclosure of Greed, which is completely empty, minus a filthy water entrance.
Okay.
Then Heresy, Florentine walls, and flame-lit enclosure with 3 ring inscriptions. Then Violence is the 7th level. Shattered stone pool enters the enclosure cavern area. Susie is killed in the first ring. Violence against neighbors when Latoop beats her to death. Then we've got...
Keep rolling. So it's
There's all
not
sorts of stuff.
really the Divine Comedy. It's Inferno.
In the Inferno, my bad. Dante's Inferno. Let's see. It also contains hallucinations of Scarlet's father and the 3rd satanic occultist markings over sandy tunnels. Level 8 is Fraud, the amphitheater-shaped area with the drop and manifestations of Benji's victims of Bologna 1 or 2. I don't know what that means. Who's
What?
Benji, first of all?
I don't know.
Who knows? Then pandering, seduction, and flattery, which results in him falling from fraud to treachery. That's when, okay, Benji was the documentarian.
Okay.
falls
Yeah.
to doom.
Benji's the documentarian.
Treachery, water tunnels with Danny beneath them, leading to the 4 caverns. The second
Right.
cavern, the betrayal of community, ties in with, in which Simonic Papillon is killed by the manifestation of the man he left for dead in a vehicular fire, where
That
he
was
meets
horrible.
his Simonic fate. That part was stupid. The effects were lousy. Anyway.
I was there for it, you bastard.
The throne, a wooden chair, and the devil himself appears. That's the homie in the robe, I guess. Along with
Okay.
the robed demons of what can be believed to be Judas Iscariot, Antenor, and Ptolemy. The
Good
demon of
Lord,
Cain
do I need to
appears.
watch this whole movie again? Now with a Medici eye to it?
Maybe.
Good Lord.
The demon of Cain appears as the first horrendous wall demon that bites George. And the final area of hell traversed within the 9 circles is the bottomless pit of penitence and the
Yes.
reverse leap of faith.
Oh,
Boom.
the leap of faith. That was in Indiana Jones too.
And
leap
only
of
the penitent
faith.
will pass.
And only
Absolutely.
the penitent will pass. Why didn't they bow?
That's
A penitent
kneel before God.
bows.
That's
Yeah.
right. Let's talk about the cast and crew, shall we?
I don't know why you think that makes it worse. To me, that makes it more interesting.
I was just like, whatever.
You
don't
son
really
of a
care.
bitch. Now I'm going to have to. I did buy the Divine Comedy, I don't know, 4 years ago. One day I'll read it.
John Eric Dowdle was the writer and the director of As Above, So Below. He also wrote No Escape, which was very stressful, where it's like Pierce, who is it? Owen Wilson they're trapped in like some Asian country during like a civil war where they're trying to get out before they get picked up by the murderers, and it's a whole thing.
Right.
Very stressful. As Above, So Below. He wrote Quarantine, which is a remake of a Spanish horror movie called REC, R-E-C. It's like another one of those kind of found footage films with zombies.
Right.
The Poughkeepsie Tapes, unfamiliar, from 2007.
No.
Let's look at the cast, shall we? Perdita Weeks played Scarlet. You know her from such things as Above, So Below.
Oh, yeah. I remember her in that.
She was in Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet in 1996 as second player. Because remember,
I was going to say she was pretty fucking young because
Yep.
I love Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet. Give me all 4 fucking hours of that. It is iconic.
I'm out. I don't need
Dude.
4 hours of Kenneth Branagh.
Henry Ford and Hamlet are boom. They're the best.
She was Kira in Ready Player One in 2018.
Okay, saw that.
In 1997, she played Evie in Spice World, the Spice Girls movie.
Shake it to the left. Shake it to the right.
I like the Spice Girls. Let's see.
Who
Ben
doesn't?
Feldman.
Who doesn't?
Indeed. He played George. You know him from such things as The Perfect Man in 2005. Unfamiliar.
No.
As Above, So Below in 2014. Friday the 13th in 2009, the remake. He was like in the opening scene, basically. In
Whatever.
2008, he was in Cloverfield. That was with the...
Never saw it, and I'm proud
well.
to say.
He's currently on Mayfair Witches, and good stuff. Let's see. Who else?
He's the same character, I think, wherever he is.
Not so. You know what? I'll say this. He is actually a real actor in Mad Men because he comes across totally different than you see him in pretty much anything else in Mad Men.
I gotta revisit it. He did not bother me in I'm doing it again. In Mad Men, he did not bother me.
Edwin Hodge played Benji, the documentarian. You know him from 57 episodes of FBI Most Wanted.
No.
From 2022 to 2025.
Never heard of it.
He was in Parallel in 2024. That's a movie of some sort. The Tomorrow War in 2021. That was the Chris Pratt Amazon Prime original movie. And he was in one episode of Winning Time, The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty, playing a lesser-known Laker, Ron Boone, for one episode. So there you go.
You might as well just be speaking another language. I don't know any
French.
Oui.
Papillon was played by Francois Civil. I don't know if I'm pronouncing any part of that correctly. You know him from such things as Love at Second Sight in 2019, As Above, So Below in 2014, Frank in 2014. 2014 was a big year for him.
That was a big year for him.
And The Stronghold in 2020 is a French film, which has a French title, which I'm not going to attempt to pronounce.
All right.
Anybody else you want to know about from this movie? Can't imagine.
L'Amour?
Le Taupe. Le Taupe was played by Cosme Castro. You know him from such things as Above, So Below. He's a writer for Intelligence in 2023. He wrote the short Jean in 2015. And he wrote, so he does a lot of writing, evidently. He wrote Joie de Gloire in 2022. Yeah, sweet Jesus. Let's go look at the ratings, shall we? As Above, So Below. Currently on Rotten Tomatoes. 29% rotten. Boom.
I have to see, the reason I found this is I was Googling underrated horror movies. And then when I saw it was The Catacombs, plus it had a rock and roll title. But I did see that it had, like a Google, I think it was 4.5 out of
That's ridiculous. These are way too low. Do you know what the audience gave it?
The audience would have given it like a 78.
41. Which is also ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
Totally
because ridiculous. This may not be Malignant, but I thought it was highly entertaining.
It's not a bad film.
It's not a bad film.
The idea
it's
that
a different idea. I mean, I appreciate that while it has a lot of Indiana Jones vibes, I was there for it. I was feeling very tense for a lot of this movie.
I hear that. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian says, there are some interestingly contrived moments of claustrophobia and surreal.
Boy, that's a shot fired right away.
But this cliched and slightly hand-me-down script neither scares nor amuses very satisfyingly. 2 out of 5.
What the hell?
Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan.
I guess not.
Wesley Morris from Grantland says, once upon a time when someone in a horror movie turned a doorknob or drove toward a storm, you got to feel superior and shout, don't go in there. Now it's more like, seriously? You're not going to put down that camera first? So... not a positive review.
Happening. Lord, angry people.
Angry people.
Current administration.
It could be. We have a new segment in the Critics Corner here. What we like to do is include the reviews of the immortal New York Examiner critic Rex Reed, who is known for his ridiculous and some would argue feisty reviews, sometimes downright personal. It's like, why, who hurt you, Rex Reed, that you have to unleash this on people? However,
but unfortunately, he didn't review this movie.
What we've decided to do in the age of AI is whenever we cannot find a review that Rex Reed actually wrote, or if I just can't be bothered to look for one, I'm going to pump it into ChatGPT and have them come up with a one-sentence review in the inimitable style of Rex Reed. Are you ready, Aaron?
Let's go.
As above, so below is what happens when you mix the Blair Witch Project with a History Channel special on alchemy, then shake it up in a GoPro and call it a horror movie. Claustrophobic, chaotic, and about as enlightening as a bad trip in the catacombs. Thank you, Rex Reed.
That's very concise.
Not a fan. Not a fan.
Not
Virtual
a fan.
Rex Reed.
I like it because it does really cover everything we talked about.
Yep.
I can't say that that's a bad review.
What is your review, Aaron?
All right. Now, mind you,
yes,
clearly there's a few flaws, but I mean, it has a story we can follow. No one gets raped.
No.
It's minimal blood. But there's a lot of atmosphere. There's a lot of tension. It's kind of a different idea. It's got a little Indiana Jones in it. And I was entertained. I was not bored with it. I was like, oh shit, they're going down that fucking tunnel again? At what point do you just say, I'm just going to sit on this rock and die?
100%.
But what, for all it's worth, I was there for it. I'm going to give it a 3.75 Frenchmen who sound like they have a fake French accent. How about that?
That's always the best. I've done this many times where I'm like critiquing somebody's accent. That's the lousiest accent, and then you realize it's a real speaking voice.
I was like, oh shit. He's actually French?
He is French. Look, I know it sounded like I thought this movie was a horrible piece of shit. I do not think it's a horrible piece of shit. I found it a little disappointing, would be the way I describe it. It's not time wasted sitting through it. It does have a lot of good atmosphere. I didn't mind. It is true. It's always contrived when it's like, make sure you're still shooting with your camera. You're being chased by creatures and falling down a hole.
The new Google lenses. They put like a dot on everybody's helmet. So
they did do that.
We know the cameraman weren't going to make it. The one black guy got to die real soon.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. So I'm going to give it 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. Not horrible. Not if I was flipping channels, maybe I'd watch it again. Maybe not.
I might watch it again since you outlined. This is like the Babadook. I was like, oh shit, is that what's going on? But I haven't watched it again because I was waiting to watch it again with you. Someone who could appreciate it.
100%.
But like now that you've rattled off this whole Dante's Inferno situation, I was like, interesting. Okay.
Again, I felt it kind of took away some of the creativity.
Contrived.
Well, it is. It's like now I'm just kind of painting by numbers. It's no longer this interesting thing that I came up with. Now it's just I'm bringing this over here and kind of cramming it into this because.
So you think that Dante is like the original AI?
He's the original, 100%. I think we can all agree on that. And what does the Philosopher's Stone have to do with Dante's Inferno?
Unsure about that.
Unclear. Not horrible. It's fine-ish.
I thought it was entertaining.
Wasn't boring.
It was suspenseful. It was stressful. If you've got claustrophobia, this is going to touch on all that. Or maybe you don't care if you're just jammed in a rock and pile of bones.
With
and
bones
you're like,
on you.
This is just a Tuesday,
Right.
Wrong.
Good grief. So, any last thoughts, Aaron, before I move on with my life?
Aaron says check it out.
Okay, there you go. Listen to Aaron or listen to Kevin. And if you happen to stumble
Kevin, your
on it,
rating was almost the same as mine. With all your belly aching and complaining.
yeah, but you love it. You say you love it. 3.75. I say it's mediocre.
I love it.
3. Anyway, so thank you very much. Go across our social media. We're on Blue Sky, Threads. We're on TikTok. We are on Instagram. You can be watching us on YouTube at this very moment, for goodness sakes. You can also email us, the podcast that wouldn't die at
Gmail.
We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. Won't you?
And kids, Kevin has been taken over by AI. So expect to see more and weirder things chosen by AI that we will be releasing on the Ticker Talker. AI is now controlling Kevin. He is the slave to AI. Everything we do moving forward from this day is controlled by ChatGPT.
I'm not entirely in agreement with that statement, but I'm not.
Eventually, you will be replaced, and I will just be talking to a bot.
Because you're an idea person, right?
I'm an idea person.
What is your social media situation, Aaron? Damn it all to hell.
Dude, I'm about ready to dump Threads because I couldn't give a f***. I'm thinking I might get rid of Threads and Tumblr.
Yeah,
I finally got rid of my second X account because I couldn't be bothered. Although I did have a good name, Pola Aaron. But anyway, threw that away. I am on Flickr. I'm on Tumblr. I'm on Instagram. The Cult of Aaron. Join the cult. You can find my art on Artsy and First Dibs, Aaron Doherty, all things Polaroid. Polaroid.
Boom.
It's not a niche thing. Don't let people tell you that.
It's kind of a niche thing, Aaron.
How do you say
Not
in the world where I have completely surrounded myself with Polaroid people. I'm on a Polaroid bubble. I'm like, people are like, does that work? I'm like, do you still find film? I'm like, what? Of course you do. What?
Okay. Fair enough. As we like to do from time to time, we like to share the thoughts and feelings of our friends across the interwebs. Aaron, what you got?
I got something. This in regard to our recent WTF video on the Ticker Talker of Krull, which I did not hate. Don Isidro, great 80s cheese movie. I love it. Only the king and the grand marshal have the keys. That's right. I don't know what that means.
Do you know what that means, Aaron?
No.
Because they're taking off the cuffs of the dude, the head of the bandits. Only the king and the grand marshal have the keys to these cuffs.
I've already blacked it out, and when I hear the word Grand Marshal,
like a parade.
I think of the Rose Parade.
Right. Only Bob Eubanks has the keys to these cuffs. Anyway, good Lord. Next week, we're discussing the horror classic The Witch, directed by Robert Eggers, starring Anya Taylor-Joy. Where can you watch this, you ask? Well, this is an important question.
Yeah. Is it free? That's very important.
Not free. Not free at all. You could pay $3.99 on Apple TV, $5.99
off on my taxes.
Come and knock on our door.
$5.99
$5.99 on Amazon, $5.99 on Fandango at home, $7.99 on YouTube to rent. This movie's been out 15 years.
It's like 15 years old. And really, I threw it out there because I hated Nosferatu, again. And I wanted to see what other piece of shit Robert Eggers is going to throw at me. Because I do believe I hated The Witch when I saw it at the theater.
Oh, that sounds great. I'm glad you recommended it.
So let's just double down. Let's see what's going on with that. Let's see if it's true.
Let's see what's going on. So check that out. Send in any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and we may talk about it on the show.
I do remember something about the goat being an asshole.
Well, we'll have to ask Rex Reed about it next time. So, thank you very much, and be